Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 3 of our F1 2001 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Europe for the Spanish Grand Prix. If you missed out on the last video that went live last week from Bahrain, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. It's safe to say the opening couple of Grand Prix have been very much attrition-based affairs. As in 6 cars was the most finishes we've had so far this year. Only myself and Jacques Villeneuve have finished both Grand Prix in this campaign. And the Canadian does lead the World Championship there on 41 points. David Coulthard, though, got McLaren's first win of the new millennium last weekend now. And we have 2 4th places in a row. Ultimately, it does feel like the car is lacking a fair amount of pace early on this season, but I'm hoping as we return to a couple more high downforce circuits, maybe these can play into our hand as well, of course. If you're new around here, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well to the channel. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs before the end of the year as well. So yeah, we're really going to try and smash towards that target, so any help is greatly appreciated. But yeah, let's head out then here to Barcelona. Well, I forgot to mention in the intro, but we've also brought quite a few upgrades to the first leg of the European season. Hopefully it's going to make the car just that little bit quicker with some major chassis and aero overhauls, and obviously especially around a track like Barcelona, you get to test a lot of different aspects of the car. Of course, there's the reason where wind testing is done so often around this circuit. Of course, nowadays it feels like Formula 1 has generally moved it over to Bahrain. But yeah, I don't know why, but I just get the sense that Jacques Villeneuve this season, it is just all going to be about him and that Williams team now. Ultimately, I just feel like we're a little bit too far away. But if we can keep bringing major upgrades to the car, then hopefully it is going to make us more and more competitive. And maybe we can try and bring the fight to them. I mean, through the corners, you can see there how much time we gain on the BMW Williams driver, but it is just about, you know, the all-round performance of the car. Bit like our BAR from last season, we are way down on straight line speed, which is a bit of a shame. It was one of the big reasons I moved to McLaren this season, as I was hoping that we would actually now have, you know, straight line speed to compete with our top runners there, but just making a little bit of a mistake through that final corner. We're going to end up, I think, it's still a very good qualifying, actually. P4? That's way better than we've done in any of the first 3 Grand Prix. Well, there we go. Williams once again lock out the front row for the 3rd race weekend in a row. But McLaren, that is a really strong sign there. We definitely could have gone quicker than Frentzen in that qualifying there. You can see Barrichello up in P5. Hakkinen, P13 in his Ferrari. Better than Michael Schumacher, though, who goes P18 in the end. So both Ferraris are going to have to try and fight their way through from the back of the field there. Button and Juan Pablo Montoya, as well as Johnny Herbert, ahead of Schumacher. But I'm just praying we can get through the first couple of laps without a safety.
With Texaco.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula 1 calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It consists of a very impressive main straight going into turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, and after we finish P4 in both of the opening 2 Grand Prix, that's exactly where we're going to start in round 3 this weekend as well. Their tyre wear here is obviously, the strategy is quite important around this circuit, but obviously, you know, with tyre wear being pretty low on this mod, hopefully it's not going to be too much of a concern. What is going to be a concern, though, is how difficult it is to overtake. Ferrari, I think they're in for a long afternoon further down the order, but I'm just praying we can get through the opening 2 or 3 laps without a safety car. It is 5 red lights, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go. Oh, here in Barcelona there, as we'll try and just cover the inside line down in towards turn 1. There goes Rubens Barrichello, straight round our outside into the braking zone, though we're going to send it very, very late into that, well, first corner there, nowhere near the apex. But as we go through turn 2 and turn 3 there, can we try and find the grip the long way around the Brazilian there? Make sure we try and keep the wheel inside the white lines. But I tell you what, Barrichello and Jaguar, 2000 was a really disappointing year for them. They have absolutely come back in 2001 there, as down the inside we're still going to be, oh, a little bit of contact. Oh, that's really disappointing. And we might have to make the switch over to hard compound tyres on just lap 1. I mean, we were lucky not to lose a wheel in that moment there, but you just see going up through Campsa, we've got nothing at all there, so unfortunate. You know, I thought Barrichello would give us the room down the inside, but apparently not. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, we should be able to take the hards to the end of the afternoon, but it's going to leave us with some very lonely laps early on in this Grand Prix as navigating our way through. I mean, can we tell the team to box?
Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward. Understood.
The start was most definitely not fine, Mark, and into the pit lane we'll go at the end of lap 1. Yeah, that is a real disappointment for us. Make sure I don't get done for speeding, as we'll hear everybody else scream by. Hakkinen up to P12. Schumacher's gained a couple of spots as well on lap 1, as Fernando Alonso, obviously first home Grand Prix for him, the first Spanish driver in who knows how long inside the sport. And yeah, say he's only down in P18 at the moment, as Schumacher, you can just see on the on the MFD even, just making up more and more spots early on in this race. But we're in for a lonely early laps.
Let's get some heat into those tires.
I mean, hopefully we can undercut Barrichello. It's going to be a tall order though. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fair few laps before we even see the Minardis. Either that or we end up with a safety car. It was always going to be the case, wasn't it? The first time we get a clear start in terms of these races, of course, is always going to be the one where I end up with front wing damage. That was nobody else had an accident on lap 1, apart from myself. I mean, we took 4 or 5 seconds out of those Minardis, so it won't be long before we're with them. But I think Villeneuve set a fastest lap of a 22.3, so those are the kind of times we're chasing. There we go, Villeneuve then at 22.3. We only do a 23.5, so there is going to be a lot of watching the lap times early on in this race. But yeah, I think those Williams still have just got a bit extra in the back pocket. I mean, the hometown supporters, there isn't going to be a lot to cheer for Fernando Alonso today. That car is pretty terrible. But he is ahead of his teammate Jarno Trulli there, as we will try and go around the outside of one Minardi down the end of the back straight. And you can see, yeah, when we're using the rich revs, we're actually very competitive with those times set by Jacques Villeneuve earlier on. So this race might not be over just yet, as we'll try and get around the outside of Alonso. Absolutely send it over the curbs there through the final chicane. You've got to make the moves. And we are up then into P18. I think, yeah, that Minardi is a little way off the pace of everybody else. Although I've been a little bit disappointed with this McLaren's pace so far this season, leaving BAR, it's safe to say, was certainly the right choice though. Johnny Herbert, last year here, he was fine for podiums. This weekend, he's only down in P17 and barely able to keep up with the Arrows cars early on in this Grand Prix. I also believe this is our 50th race start in this series. Of course, we did lose that one in the 1998 season. So yeah, I believe this is our 50th start inside this series there, as moving past a couple of cars into the pits nice and early on. So we're still ahead of Ralf Schumacher and Jos Verstappen. I mean, yeah, tell you what, this car today, this might be the first real time all season we've been able to really fight there. And, well, I'm hoping Johnny Herbert, being my former teammate, will kind of just let me by I've got to be a bit careful, though. As we saw earlier on, the AI can be a little bit unpredictable. That was, again, sometimes you... Ugh! I haven't done the move yet, Mark or Jeff or whatever your name is on this year's game. We get a warning for a collision. Oh, come on. Johnny, please, man. Just work with me here. Up in towards cancer side by side. We will get around him, but... Yeah, sometimes you have to dive bomb the AI. Otherwise, they just kind of turn in on you. If you kind of get far enough alongside or even ahead of them, then they do often kind of back out of it and realise. Well, we're going to see a load more cars then into the pit lane as well here. I think we'll still be out behind our teammate Coulthard. Yes, we will, but we have gained a couple more spots then over those last couple of laps. So we are slowly moving up. I wish I knew where DC was so that we could see if we could chase him down. Well, hindsight is a beautiful thing, and I think in 2001, if people saw a lineup of Montoya and Button, they wouldn't assume too many great things out of it, but probably two of the most loved Formula 1 drivers for completely different reasons, these two. And Pablo, of course, just for his brutal nature. Oh no, that's Coulthard gone. What's happened? I was trying to work out who it was. Well, here we go then. DC following Mika Hakkinen down in towards the final few corners there. His old teammate just misjudges where the Ferrari's going to break, and David Coulthard out of this race. That is a heartbreaking end. As well, that does kind of screw us over here. It'll allow everybody else to claim a cheap pit stop in this race, but yeah, I think that's going to mean that Williams... I mean, actually, that might work out for us. If we can come out in P3, being ahead of just about everybody else, then this might not be the end of the world, and hopefully we can try and fight with those Williams cars throughout the second half of the race. As, yeah, everybody in. Maybe Magnus and Wirtz were ahead of the pit lane entry line, but either way, we're up into P7. Well, I actually think then that neither of the Williams cars were able to pit under that safety car either on the opening lap, because we've actually been allowed to go back around the safety car in this Grand Prix. There we go. Maybe they've come in, maybe they pit now. Are we going to see Wirtz and Magnussen do the same thing? Well, as a safety car about to come in then, approaching half distance, I don't believe any of our top 6 cars were able to get into the pit lane then before that safety car came out. They were ahead of the line when the safety car was called. So I think, yeah, both Williams, both Jaguars, and both Benettons have a lot of work to do still. Jarno Trulli's been really unlucky to end up going a lap down because, of course, he was able to pit, but would have got caught up behind his teammate Fernando Alonso. So he's going to have to try and jump out of everybody's way as soon as he possibly can. And now as we go green flag racing once again then, we've got to see if we can really try and attack some of these other cars as well there. As you see Magnussen. Oh, Jarno, please don't do that in towards someone there. It's Fisichella trying to have a look past Rubens Barrichello. I also had not expected him to slow down there. As Wirtz now, trying to attack the Jaguar. You see the Williams are both absolutely bolted off the restart. We're lucky to keep all 4 wheels on the wagon as we make our way through the next couple of corners there. But we've got to try and find a way around Jan. Scared, of course, to try and dive bomb those Jaguars, because we saw, obviously, what happened with Rubens earlier on there. But round the outside, down the hill we'll go. Will we be able to get it hooked up? Try and use the camera at the corner? Yes, we will. Up into P6. Barrichello and Fisichella both almost run off down the bottom of the hill there. So Alexander Wirtz will say thank you very much and try and make the move on his teammate there. But you just see we're almost 3 wide. Shades of Barrichello. When he went past, I think it was Michael, and it might have even been Ralph, actually, through that hairpin here many a year ago as well. But are we going to see cars into the pits? Yes, we do. Giancarlo Fisichella is in. I believe as well, Jan Magnussen behind us is into the pits. Jacques Villeneuve is into the pits. So out of nowhere then, we've gone from being last on lap 2 to potentially in the net lead. Well, I've got to try and find a way around Wirtz, even though I think he's going to be into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I mean, Jacques Villeneuve, just like we saw in Bahrain, he will continue to hound us towards the end of the afternoon there as getting the move done on the Benetton. He didn't want to make that one easy for me, but we are through. There we go. Frentzen in. Rubens Barrichello into the pits then. So as we round the final corner, like I said, lap 2, we were in last place here. 16 laps later, we are into the lead of this Grand Prix. Jos Verstappen and Mika Hakkinen have really won out because of this as well. So Ferrari certainly now with a chance for a podium here. But how quick will those Williams come back through the field later on? And have McLaren really taken a turn with our performance? Oh, there we go. That's what we want to see. New fastest lap of the day then. Onto a 1:22.0. So the pace is absolutely coming alive in this car. Now we've got clear air up at the front. There goes Villeneuve though. Again, half a second faster. Well, I've only just realised as well, I've got no idea how long it's been up there for, but Jos Verstappen, he's actually got a 5-second time penalty here. So yeah, the Sauber driver might really struggle towards the end of the afternoon. I mean, yeah, the big question for us though, of course, is, I mean, this car genuinely, if I had to guess, feels close to a second a lap faster than the one we drove at Albert Park in Bahrain. So that's just the leap forward the upgrades have made. But will it be enough now to really try and fight with Williams, even on even footing? We've got another safety car. We're riding on board then with one of the Jordans there through the first couple of corners. And, oh, just a little bit of contact. It makes all the difference. He's lucky to not get collected in that one. I know it's not Ralf Schumacher, so it must be Jean Alesi that's gone. Well, 11 laps to go then here from Barcelona. And I tell you what, after we have, what, 15 and 14 retirements on the first couple of Grand Prix, the fact that at this stage we've only had 2 today, at this point I would quite happily take another couple of safety cars, as long as I'm not involved in them. But yeah, get ready to go green flag racing once again then. We've obviously got to try and make sure that we get the jump on Jos Verstappen in that Sauber car. That thing is looking very, very racy early on in this campaign there. I mean, the fact that Hakkinen hasn't been able to get round him, I think goes to show just how quick that car is. As once again, we've got a really nice jump. Are we going to see Jos challenge us in towards someone? That thing is very, very fast. Mika Hakkinen as well, trying to hound him in towards that first corner. Luckily, we have got clean air and breathing room in front and behind. But, I mean, Jacques Villeneuve, he will just be looking to try and get past as many cars as he can. Maybe Williams just running a little bit slower this weekend, but like I said, I genuinely feel this McLaren car has taken a huge leap forward in terms of performance. 21.2 as the fuel is burning off. We are getting faster and faster. I mean, that lap alone, we put 2 seconds on Jos Verstappen. Could it now really be McLaren versus Williams in the championship? Well, I don't know whether Mika Hakkinen's got mechanical issues here, but Jos Verstappen just genuinely seemed to have the pace over the Ferrari. So this is not, I mean, so far this season, Ferrari have just not looked like they've got the fight in them. Just have not worked out these new rules for this 2001 season. But if Mika Hakkinen can kind of keep getting the elbows out with Ralf Schumacher behind, maybe Jos Verstappen's 5-second penalty will become irrelevant. Well, I tell you what, of course, after losing that final chicane in IRL Formula 1 over the last couple of years, sadly, we can't mod that in to F1 2020. It really does make the race go by a lot quicker. I mean, we are counting down the laps here at the moment, but it feels like a much, much kind of longer race. Obviously, with that chicane still there, but 4 laps left of this Grand Prix. Still no sign of Jacques Villeneuve, though, on the relative. I really do think, you know, those opening couple of races were more about learning everything like that for us, but this car suddenly now is a joy to drive. As we all know, it is never over in Formula 1 until you reach the checkered flag. I believe it was exactly this race where Mika Hakkinen was dominating and then broke down on the very last lap, so that would have been this very car, because of course we've taken Mika's seat ready for this season. And I mean, there's still a lot of races still to go. We haven't really battled with the Williams today. We just got a bit lucky with strategy. I'm not going to sit here and suddenly say McLaren have done it. We've got the fastest car. Let's go for a world title. Because it might still be, you know, that Williams is just that little bit faster. We have to keep working. We have to keep improving to try and make sure that we get the ultimate prize this season after so much heartbreak and disappointment over the last couple of near-miss campaigns. It's a good feeling. Finally, I feel confident I can say it, that we have got a car now that is worthy of fighting for a Formula 1 World Championship, and hopefully that's going to be what we can try and deliver as well over the course of this season. But as we make our way through the final few corners. We did admittedly win one dodgy race with arrows. We won races with Jordan. We won races with BAR. And now, as we make our way through the final couple of corners, this legendary British team, we are going to win a race for McLaren as well there through the final corners. A dominant display after being last on lap 2. It is P1 in Barcelona.
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
Another Spanish Grand Prix is over, and what a special race it was. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, there we are then, and after a maximum possible 9 different podium finishes so far this season, we've had 8, which is quite an impressive feat there. We take our victory, though, this weekend. Of course, McLaren now make it back-to-back wins with Coulthard's dub in Bahrain there. Jos Verstappen in P2 ahead of Mika Hakkinen there, 13th to 3rd. He'd had a really, really good race out, beating out Ralf Schumacher. Marc Genet makes it a double points haul for Sauber as well, ahead of Jacques Villeneuve there, with Schumacher, Frentzen, Kimi Räikkönen, I believe that's his first career points as well, ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella. And after all the craziness of the opening couple of Grand Prix, it's nice that we have one today that was a little bit more normal there. Further down the order, Wirtz, Button, Alesi and Coulthard are 4 drivers that failed to see the checkered flag. Jarno Trulli, the only man to end 1 lap down as well there. But what does that do to our championship standings when it's all tied at the top between ourselves and Jacques Villeneuve there? So after the Canadian started the year really, really well, we are coming back swinging there. Marc Genet now consistently paying off up into P3 ahead of Ralf Schumacher there and David Coulthard. Frentzen down in 6th ahead of Verstappen and Hakkinen there, with Button and Barrichello rounding out our top 10. Michael Schumacher all the way down in P12 currently, only ahead of Räikkönen and Fisichella there, as well as everybody that hasn't scored so far this campaign, which is both Bernardis, Montoya, Alesi, Magnussen, and Alexander Wirtz. Constructors-wise, McLaren, we do lead that title, so I think we're going to be in for a fight this year that is hopefully going to be very, very entertaining. Sauber up in P3, ahead of Jordan and Ferrari there, and just Minardi, who are yet to get a point on the board. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready to the jewel in the crown. We'll be back for the Monaco Grand Prix.